What is up, guys? This is Jared Spawning here, and today I'm going to be talking about, should all the silver be reserved for the government? And you might be wondering, why would you ever, ask a question? Obviously, the answer is no. The government clearly is going to not see the value of silver and gold, so why should they have it anyway? What do they need it for? Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously they're not going to be putting too much value on it. Of course, banks and other, really big corporations do see the value in silver. It's not really something where, the currency can be backed by it or anything, so why would the government need silver anyway? But it does bring up an interesting, question here, because you have to consider, well, I mean, is a bunch of silver sitting around, and wherever you're storing your silver, is that really doing anybody any good besides yourself? At least if the government were to have it, it would benefit the nation as a whole. So, and that's where you have to draw a line between, if, do you really, want to help only yourself out, or, help the common person? Are you doing what you're doing for yourself, or, the good of a nation? That is really, like I said, a question that would have to ask yourself at this point. But I personally don't think that this is something that should go on. And let me do explain this. I was saying just a second ago, what good is silver doing laying around? But I feel like if the government were to get their hands on all the silver, first of all, I think a law, banning, the owning of silver would be unconstitutional. I believe that would violate the Constitution. I think that some of the laws that are out there already even go, pretty close to violating it, and I think that would definitely be, one that would, because, I do understand that, of course, someone could say, well, there's plenty of drugs that are illegal to own, or, or sell or buy whatever with, so wouldn't it just be the same thing? But the thing about silver is that you can't prove that it can cause any harm. A lot of the time, even, the whole thing with these drugs being illegal, sometimes it can be exaggerated itself anyway, but silver, you definitely can't, you can't say, oh yeah, it's causing this harm. And the only thing you might be able to pull is the temporary ban on it, which, did happen before, and that ended up not being so temporary. But I could see how that could happen if the, economy were in great distress. But outlawing it, I do think, would be going outside of, even where the elastic clause can allow Congress to go, because especially right now, I don't think that there's a reason for it, so I don't think it's going to happen. But, like I said, something, interesting to discuss. But I believe that, like I was saying, even if the government managed to get all the silver that we currently, have in the United States, and they're having more coming in and stuff, sure, it would strengthen the economy because there'd be a lot more, silver in it. But the thing is that, who says they're going to back the currency with silver, right? I really don't think that they would do that. I think that they would be like, we have a lot more of potential profit for the government itself to pull itself out of debt if we were to just, not put this into currency, continue with the inflated fiat currency, and, just keep all the silver to ourselves and buy and sell it and make money that way. That would definitely help with the debt, and I'm sure it would a little bit, but I do think that they would be, in the same question here, I think that they would put the government itself above the common person. So I think, and of course, decreasing the debt, that does help out the nation itself, but it's going to be a little bit less beneficial than having, a much stronger currency, which would probably end up helping out with the debt anyway, because if our currency wasn't fiat, we probably wouldn't even have to borrow nearly as much money. And of course, there comes a time where you might not have enough currency due to the fact that you can only have as much as there are precious metals and everything. So again, I guess, kind of a fine line. The whole reason that we ever have to, get off of regular currencies, switch over to fiat, is because of war. But I don't know if that's going to happen. The United States usually is pretty good at staying out of them unless we're forced into a war. And of course, war is so expensive. No nation really wants to be at war necessarily. Maybe, with the exception of a few like North Korea, I guess, might enjoy it. But I think it's more for the fact that, owning the world as they, owning every country to them, which they seem to think is possible for them to do, would have a lot of economic advantages. But anyway, it's beside the point here. I really don't think, though, that the government would be doing anything that would help us out too much. with all this silver. So I really think it should just be allowed to be privately owned. I don't think it should be reserved for just the government. I definitely think that people should be allowed to own it. I mean, I myself am a silver investor, so of course I'd be biased to say that, it would seem. But if you really think about it, if a bunch of people in the nation itself own silver, if they're worrying economic collapse to happen, which I'm not saying there is going to be one or not, but if that were to eventually happen, and or a dollar collapse, let's say, and we want to reevaluate the currency and everything, reestablish it. A bunch of people owning silver would probably help the nation have a little bit of a better start than if no one owned silver, because at least you got a starting point. And besides, let's face it, I mean, there's a huge potential profit for you there. So even, as selfish as that might seem, at the end of the day, isn't everyone stacking silver, at least with the hopes of making some money off of it? I mean, I know I can't say that I'm not. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the quick video. That is it for this one. Sorry for missing the upload yesterday, but peace, love, and much respect.